Another video. This time I'm talking about ring gap. So this 350 motor over here, it's got a 4-inch bore. 17 thousandths is the ring gap for a naturally aspirated motor. But I'm not building a naturally aspirated motor, I'm building a boosted motor. So it's got this big Hankin magnesium supercharger. It's going to be building a lot of boost. So for a boosted motor, I'm going to gap my rings. My top ring I'm going to want to gap to at 30 thousandths, and then the bottom ring I want to gap to 28 thousandths. This is the top ring. This is the top ring. This ring right here. This is the bottom ring. This ring down here. Okay. So the way that you measure ring gap, measure with a feeler gauge. This is my feeler gauge. I have this set to 30 thousandths, 32 thousandths, 35, and 40. I just honed this motor, and it's an old motor. It's got a lot of miles on it anyway, and I'm noticing that a lot of these rings are already at the proper gap. Now this is a combination of mileage, honing the engine, and the piston ring wearing down and the gap becoming larger over time. This is a number 4 piston. This is the number 4 piston bore. I'm checking every single ring in the bore that it will be seated in, and I'm doing that because the relationship between the piston, the bore, and the ring is different for every cylinder. So if you get in close here and you notice this piston ring is already in the bore, but it's not squared up. This is the second ring in the piston. So what I'm going to do, I have no rings in this piston right here. This is number 4 piston. I have the oil control ring right there. I'm going to push this down and square it up using the piston. Now watch what happens to the relationship of this gap whenever I square this up. Okay? So I'm going to push this ring out to this side, and I'll push down. Now I'm going to pull up, push the ring over this side, and then I'm going to push down again, and bam. Now I'm getting close here. I'll take this 30 thousandths feeler gauge, and it just drops right in the gap. So now I'm going to take, I'll measure it with the 40. 40 doesn't go. I'm going to try the 32. .32 goes in, but it's real tight. Well, not real tight, but it's snug-ish. 35 doesn't want to go. So my second ring, my goal here is for 28 thousandths. It measures at 32 thousandths. This is good. This is not bad. I would rather err it on the larger side than it be too tight. You're not going to run into any trouble by being a couple thousandths too large. But if it's too small and you're running boost in this thing, there is a chance that the ring will expand under heat, and that little gap will close up, and then it'll bind in the piston, and it'll break a piston. It doesn't matter what kind of piston it is, it'll break. A cast piston, a forged piston, it'll break it. Okay, I've actually, I believe I actually experienced this at one point in time. I had a small block Chevy, the piston broke, and it had brand new rings. It ran for 4 minutes, piston broke. Fortunately for me, I didn't build that bottom end, somebody else built it. So I still have a pretty good track record right now. So this measures at 32 thousandths. So now I know that my ring is good. I'm going to grab it, pull it out of the piston as evenly as I possibly can. Trying my best not to get my fingers on it. I don't want to rust my cylinder bores. Here we go. I'm going to walk it over here. And in the last video, I created this ring filer. So I made this ring filer by welding a broken screwdriver to my angle grinder, because none of the freaking stores have one, so I made one. And it's working pretty good. So I'm not going to open up the gap on this piston ring, but what I am going to do is I'm going to smooth the very edge that contacts the cylinder wall, and by doing this, your cylinder walls will be grateful. Also, these pistons have a dot. The dot indicates that this faces upwards, right? You should be able to see this dot while looking down at the piston. So how I want to do this is I'm just going to start right here. And I'm going to rotate like that. Look at it again. That side looks good. I want to go a little bit more on that. And it's just gentle stuff. And there, now I can see that there is a small, the tiniest of soft bevels I put on this ring. That is going to help stop the ring from creating vertical scratches in the piston and the cylinder bore. Little things like this will extend the life of your motor. So now, I did the second ring. I have this the top ring. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Very careful process. That one looks good. That one looks good. Okay. Make sure you clean all the debris off of these things. Okay, so now we prepared the rings. The rings, this ring measured out at 45 thousandths. It's a little bigger than I'd like it to be, but I didn't take any material off of the ring. This is the ring that was in the motor, and it just happened to come out to 45. I'm not too worried about that.
David just sent you a text or something.
I'm not worried about that at all.
Sorry.
What are you saying? And so, with these piston rings, you can tell the top ring, there's actually a slight bevel on the outside of this ring. And on this ring, there's not really a slight bevel at all. There is a bevel on the inside, and this inside bevel is larger than the top ring. So now, I'm going to take my number 4 piston, And I'm going to inspect the ring lands. If there is anything at all I see in here, you want to keep the ring lands clear of any sort of debris, because the force of the combustion needs to get behind the ring and help expand it to help make power. So I just use this string here and I rotate my ring land against it, and that helps me grab any sort of debris that is in there. Now there's different ways to do this. This is just one way that I came up with the stuff I had laying around. It cost me $0. So now I'm going to take and insert the rings again. This is the second ring. Oh. There we are. Now our piston ring is in the ring land. I'm going to rotate and clock it this way. And then the other ring, I'm going to take this gap and it's going to be facing the other side, so that any kind of gases coming down, escaping through the gap, have to travel 180 degrees this way, down further, and then contest with the oil control ring. And in the millisecond of combustion, it seals enough that this is not a problem. So I'm looking for my dot. This is the dot on the top of my ring right there. There's a dot on top of the piston. They should both be visible as I'm inserting this ring. So I'm going to take this, insert this into the ring land right there. Now it's in there. Then I'm going to rotate the ring. As I rotate it, I'm going to want to just gently press down and in. And bam, the ring's in there. Now I'm going to clock it this way, just like I said, and there. Now this piston is fully cleaned, gapped, measured, and ready to go back into the motor.